how I would describe Ben in real estate. Just great foresight. And I love working with you, man. Certainly love having you as a part of my circle to bounce things off of.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I just realized now we are live. So I'm going to reintroduce you because
Oh, yeah,
first
we're
time in
going
this
good.
new program. So let me, we'll backtrack just a little bit. Um, Everyone probably already knows who Sean is because I talk about him religiously in my videos. He is a lender here in North Idaho. He is awesome. And he's not just your ordinary lender. He's the VP of Highlands Mortgage for the Northwest. And first and foremost, Sean is just a good dude, family guy. He's honest. And then when you get to his job, he's just really knowledgeable. If you have something that's tricky, or if a lender says you can't do this, Sean can probably do it. He's very outside the box thinking, and he gets things done. He's not cutting corners. Him and his team, they just have everything dialed in, and they're going to be transparent and honest uh, on helping you get a loan for a house. So if you are looking for a lender, Sean is the best in North Idaho by far. So let's go ahead and let's start talking about the housing market in North Idaho. And some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, you can apply it nationally, but most of what we're going to be talking about is going to be related to North Idaho. And of course, you can really zero in on some of the micro markets. And so what we're going to say is more generic talking, because when we're talking about waterfront or new first-time home buyers, those markets, they are acting a little bit differently. So again, what we're talking about is more generic. And you can apply this on a national level, but again, it's going to be more focused and more relative to North Idaho. So Sean, what were you expecting? Uh-oh, did we lose Sean? We may have lost Sean. Well, I was going to jump into what were we expecting for the 2024 housing market in 2024? What were we going to expect? And Sean and I, we talk a lot, and when we're looking and analyzing the data, we were very much anticipating that mortgage rates were going to be, there we go, we got Sean back.
I don't know what happened. I got booted. I think I booted myself. I closed something. Sorry about that.
No problem. So I was just getting into when 2024 started, what were our expectations as far as what were we anticipating rates to be at? And we've talked a lot about this, Sean, but let's remind everybody at the start of 2024, what were we kind of anticipating when we were looking and analyzing the data?
We were looking at rates declining. You know, they had been declining from middle of October 23 through the end of the year, and then the December Fed meeting, Jerome Powell came out and acknowledged that they were going to cut this year, and they shared a dot plot of what they expected for those cuts, and so it was really optimistic. Certainly seemed like we were on our way down finally. And for sure, because there had been some fake outs previously where we'd seen improvements. We thought maybe we were over the hump, and then it reversed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I was anticipating too when I was looking at the data, and you always do a good job of providing that information to us. So why haven't the rates dropped down to those levels that we were anticipating?
Data. So is really two culprits. One side is inflation, the CPI reports. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about if you don't follow. And then the other is the employment picture, the jobs reports. Inflation has been coming in hotter than expectations, and jobs reports are stronger than expectations. And I guess when you look at the jobs reports, that is inflationary. If people are gaining new jobs that are making more money, they can spend more money, prices can remain elevated. And then the inflation report, self-explanatory. A couple of challenges in those reports, but that's the culprit.
Gotcha. And we do, they make it easy on this program. We do have somebody on YouTube watching us live. So thank you. Now, you should be able to make a comment. And if you do have a question, Sean and I, we are happy to answer that. Just bear with me because I'm trying to figure out where comments pop up so that way we can read it and answer it. So if you do have a question, please leave us a comment and we will read it and answer it. Okay, so obviously rates haven't fallen like we expected. Rates right now, as of, well, I guess not right now, but where have they been up until now in 2024? Where have they been bouncing around at?
So like end of last year, we were seeing a decline to high sixes. And then in 2024, we saw elevations back to mid sevens. And that was certainly unexpected. And I don't know, Ben, if you want me to go into some detail on what in those reports, caused that, or where the information I think is a little bit challenged, but I can.
Yeah, if you want to touch on it a little bit, let's not get too geeky in the numbers, but I think if we can touch on it a little bit. I love the geeky numbers, but let's keep everyone away.
You know me well, I'll nerd out. Yeah, so on the inflation report, there's right now, if we look at the one that we got this week, we're 3.41% on the core CPI. Of that core CPI number, 45% of that inflation number is shelter, which is rent. And the overwhelming majority of that shelter figure is what's called owner's equivalent of rent. And that is where the Bureau of Labor and Statistics calls homeowners and says, if you rented your home, what would you rent it for? That's where the data comes from. And not to pick on homeowners, but homeowners don't have access to the information to probably consistently provide accurate feedback on that question. And that is the majority of the shelter component, which is 45% of that total number. The other culprit in there is auto insurance, which Fed policy can't control. If we remove the shelter and the auto insurance from that core CPI number, the inflation number, instead of 3.41%, would be 0.2%, 0.2%. Everything else that goes into that report is way below the Fed's target. So those are the two culprits.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's a little bit of where we thought rates were going to be and what's currently going on. What have you seen in the beginning of the year on the lending side as far as offers? Are you seeing more or less, multiple offers? What have you seen on the lending side?
It's been an interesting market. It's been very stop, start. There will be weeks where, it seems everybody comes out to buy a house, and then it'll get quiet again, and then it'll get busy again. I would say, very beginning of the year was busy relative to the time of year. January, things are covered in snow. It's, seasonally slower. And it progressed. It got busier and busier as we moved into spring. April, when rates really suffered and we saw mid sevens, we saw some activity taper again. And then as we've improved since then, I've seen multiple offers resurface.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of jumping ahead a little bit to today, we just had a deal where the great house comes on the market. Buyer reaches out to me and says, "Hey, this is the house." I right away kind of noticed that this house was underpriced, so I go out and look at it right away. And he lives out of state, and there was 17. This was on a Friday, and there were 17 showings lined up behind us. We were the number 2 showing, and the house was remodeled. It was perfect. It was awesome. And learning that there were 17 other showings behind us, I knew if we waited through the weekend, it was going to be multiple offer situation. So, we got creative. We got an offer put together and basically stopped all those showings and got our offer accepted. And yes, of course, we had to go above that asking price. However, before I recommended to the buyer to do that, I did my research and said, hey, I would list this house at X amount, which was our offer, which was higher than what we still offered. And so he was still getting a great deal on it, just not a steal. So anyways, we got accepted, and there's 17 angry people behind us because they didn't even get the opportunity to see the house because we got under contract. So what I tell this story because yes, we kind of started out Q1 slow as far as having the buyers out there, but we're in North Idaho. People are not out there looking at houses really in the snow because you can't really get a good feel for it. And then we started picking up like we typically do. And I was looking at graphs this morning, and the inventory and the movement of real estate in North Idaho was definitely moving up as we continue into the year, into Q2, and now as we're approaching Q3, everything's kind of lining up historically. So I would say, even with these high numbers, these high rates, it has definitely taken some people out of the market, but hasn't taken everybody out. We're still seeing natural trends pre-pandemic, as far as when things are getting busy, when prices are set a little bit higher for that season, or selling for a higher amount. But obviously, some people are having a hard time with affordability. But some people, you have to live somewhere, and sometimes life happens and it forces you to sell or forces you to move. So there's still definitely activity out there.
Yeah. Ben, on that note, it was listed here, you comped it here, or I'm sorry, you offered here and you comped it here, and that appraisal ended up coming in like dead on where you comped it. That buyer walked into equity.
Yeah, no, thanks for, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, it's that house that I was just talking about, it appraised actually a little bit higher than what I made that suggestion on. But anyways, there's still deals out there. I know this market, it is frustrating because of where prices and rates are, but there's still deals out there. And that's why it's super important. If you're thinking about buying, if you're able to buy, like, get all your ducks in a row, because there's still great deals out there. Get a hold of Sean or me and let us know what you're looking for. And there's not 10 or 20 of these deals out there, but they do show up, and you can be one of those lucky people that gets a screaming deal, even in a market where it's not as attractive to be buying in.
Very true.
So let me share another story. So since we're talking about multiple offers and this market, because I know some people might be feeling like there's not multiple offers out there, who's buying? Well, that was one case where we had 17 showings. Let me share another story. And Sean, you helped out on this deal as well. So we have a repeat client and looking to upgrade because his family got bigger, and we started making offers on property, but he wanted to go in under asking price, and not just by 5 or 10,000. It was a pretty significant amount, and he was doing that on houses that he liked but was not in love with, which is completely fine. I agree with that strategy, because if you're not in love with it, throw mud at the wall, see if it sticks, see if you can get a deal on it. Well, he finally found a house that he actually liked, him and his wife, and they wanted to play low ball offer game again. And we saw it hit the market, and we saw it within like 2 hours of it hitting the market. And we go back right away to make an offer. We do. And sure enough, that next morning, because the seller already went to sleep and they went to review our offer, another offer came in at asking price, and they accepted that. We tried to come back with another offer, but because they showed a little bit more seriousness, their offer, by offering full price, they just went ahead and accepted that. And they were kind of bummed when they lost out on that. So I say all this, I share these two stories to let you guys know that even in this tough market, there are multiple offers. There's times, if you love a house and you plan to be there long term, does $10,000 really, or even $15,000 really make a big difference in the long run? No, it doesn't. And for one reason, prices for the last 18 months up in North Idaho, they've been steady. They have been moving horizontally with a slight uptick to the right, meaning values are still going up. And I know on the surface that may not be the case because you see price reductions and you're seeing homes stay on the market longer, but that doesn't mean that the home prices, the home values in North Idaho are going down as a whole, as a totality of the market. So again, I'll say this 2 or 3 times as we're going through this. If you find a house that you like and you're able to afford it, even if you have to make a couple of life adjustments for the time being, buy that house now so you can not go up against the competition. You get a house that you love, and then when they come down, and they will, now you can have the house that you love with a lower rate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I think it's such a deal by deal, circumstance. There was, it just speaks to the importance of, working with somebody like you, Ben, having that professional representation, because there are absolutely homes out there where you may be able to offer less than asking. Maybe they've been on the market a long time, but then there are other circumstances where you have no chance of getting that house if you do that. And, having the guidance of somebody that's got their finger on the pulse is really important in getting that home you want.
And I'm going to try and share my screen here. So maybe I'll mess something up because I want to show you guys numbers. I don't want you to just take my word for it. Let's see. No, I don't want to add a layout. Does it present? Let's try present.
I think to present, yeah.
Let's do share screen. There we go. Share my screen. We want to share this one. Go. Okay. Sean, you see that?
I do.
Okay. So what we're looking at right now, we're in the MLS. So this information is going to be accurate. We're not relying on a third party to send this to a different company for them to analyze it. This is straight from the MLS. And what we're looking at is the entire MLS. We're talking, so there's going to be some houses that are from Spokane and St. Mary's. So all that area, all the way up to Boundary County, which is Bonners Ferry and Moyie Springs. So this is all that information. And what you're looking at right now is the average sale price in the entire MLS for single family homes, condos, townhomes, not vacant land, nothing like that. And one thing I want to point out, right now we're looking at a monthly average. And I don't like looking at a monthly average because let's take this for example. In April of 24, the average price of a house sold in the MLS, $645,000. You can see it right there on the screen. The next month, May, $673,000. So could the market go up 30,000? It certainly could, actually. That's maybe a little still drastic, but let's look at the point in March. March, 572,000 to April, the following month, 647. You can't tell me that in 1 month the market changed by $70,000. So I warn you, when you're looking and hearing data, when they say month over month average sold price dropped $70,000, don't think that the sky is falling and the market is crashing. This is really bad data point. This is just taking 1 month of data and putting it on a chart. What I like to look at, let's go to a rolling 3-month average. So this means every data point is 3 months of data, and you can see that we're starting to smooth out. And so this is picking up basically all of Q2's data. And you're seeing there's not nearly as drastic fluctuations. The dips and the valleys, or the valleys and the highs, are a little bit more rounded out. So this gives us a better short-term picture of what's going on. And honestly, for the last 3 years, from 528 to 636, we're talking just over $100,000 in 3 years. Where we had one of the highest peaks, 2 highest peaks, 2021 to 22. And all this, look, we're actually moving pretty horizontally from, call it September of 21 to now. That's a pretty good horizontal movement.
Yeah, and the other thing to point out too on this is the seasonality. You know, if you look at the peaks and valleys, they're
Yep.
the same times of each year, right? And that's just
June.
normal.
Yep, you have June of 22 right here, and June of 23. So it's slightly $50,000 difference. Peaked a little bit later by a couple months, but still close enough for government work, as I like to say.
Yeah, yeah. I got to touch on the median sales price, Ben. You know that's a hot button for me. The media loves to talk about median sales price, and it's just important to understand what that number is. It's representative of what's sold, and so I have an analogy I like to use. You know, if we had say a Kia dealership and a Mercedes dealership in the same town, and this month there's 10 cars sold, and 8 of them are Kias, the median sale price of the car is going to be here. And then we go into next month, and let's say we have 10 cars sold, but 8 of those 10 are now from the Mercedes dealership. The median sales price is going to be much higher. It doesn't mean car values went up. It's just representative of what's sold. And so it's important to understand, you know, for everybody watching, when you're looking at articles that are talking about median sale price, that's what that is. It's not home values.
Yeah, no, I love that. And thank you for sharing. Let me share real quick. I think I can do this quicker because I just did it. Let me run through just a couple more stats to really bring this home. So again, we're still looking at the same data, average sell price, the totality of MLS, but now we're at a rolling 6 months, or every data point now is 6 months. And you see how this is starting to level out. The ebbs and the flows, it's a little bit more defined. You know, you have September of 22, we're at 676, and last September, almost the same price, right? We peaked a little bit into the winter time, but you can see right here, we had this massive incline in 21 going into 22, and now we have this pattern of peaking in late summer to fall. If we come down in the winter time, we start to climb up, and same thing, we peak at the same time and start to come down. So now we're getting into this pattern where I've said for 12 to 18 months that we're starting to move horizontally and with a slight uptick. It's true. You can see the data right here. And here's a better graph. This is a rolling 12 months. Every data point is 12 months of data. And what have I been saying? We've been moving horizontally. Look at this average sell price when you pack in 12 months worth of data. We're moving horizontally.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Hey, can we go back to that last slide real quick, Ben? Because I noticed something that I think is important to touch on. You know, we talked in the beginning about, you know, some of the less favorable characteristics of this market, right? The interest rates, the affordability. But if we look at the peak of last year, it was December.
Yep.
Peak sale prices in December. And December also was the month of the lowest interest rates we'd seen in 2 years. And so, you know, those of us that are in the industry, right, we tell people all the time, you know, if you wait for rates to come down, the prices are going to go up because everybody else is waiting for rates to come down as well, right? And I think that peak in December, which is historically not a peak month of the year, speaks to that and the influence that lower rates has on home values and home prices.
Yeah, definitely. No, that was a great tidbit. I didn't realize that December was the lowest point, and that's a great tidbit. So we do have a couple people watching live. I think they're on YouTube. Yes, they are. So thank you so much. Again, if you guys have questions, if you have a comment, I found it on the program where it shows up. So if you have a question, please leave us a question. We will answer it, whether it's real estate, you know, buying a house, selling a house, or lending. If you have a question for Sean specifically, we will answer those questions, and we won't say your name unless you say it's okay. We won't out you. So we talked a little bit about what we thought was going to happen in 2024 and what was happening in the beginning of the year. So in the middle of the year, things are definitely picking up. I've been super busy with buyers and sellers. Just got back meeting with a client. We worked with him last year, Sean, and after this, I got to call and talk to you about him actually. But um, in this situation, life happened, and he's going to be moving. Him and his family. The place that they're living is not working for them at all. They have a much better rate than what they're going to get when they buy again, but they're coming up with a game plan and they're moving. So I'm getting a lot of calls right now, as anticipated, for more houses to come on the market. And it's not everyone now looking to make a quick dollar like they were in 21 and 22. Now life is happening and they don't care about the interest rate. Well, they care, but the quality of life is trumping the interest rate and for them holding on to that property. Um, Buyers, I'm finding to be a little bit more comfortable in this market, even though it's hostile, even though there's a lot of uncertainty. You have to live somewhere, and Sean and I will never condone or never advocate for you just to go buy a house just to buy a house. It's finding the right one that's going to work for you, and with more options now than what we've seen in the last few years. Um, Again, if you're able to, this is a good time to buy because there are options out there. Sellers do not hold the hammer, so if you need a concession, you can probably get it in this market. So I am still seeing quite a bit of that with my buying clients asking for concessions and getting them. You see a lot more contracts than I do, Sean. What are you kind of seeing right now, kind of in the late part of quarter two?
In North Idaho, I
Yep.
would say concessions are, there's really no middle, Ben. It's either a desirable property that's priced reasonably and it's multiple offers, or it's something that's been sitting and there's concessions. It seems that it's always one of the two. Very rarely is it simply a full asking price, no concessions. It's either escalation or the seller's giving up concessions.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you think the type of house and more turnkey, the less concessions you're seeing, and the ones that are need a little bit of love and elbow grease? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but are you kind of seeing that as maybe a different?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say there's none anywhere. I have not seen any home that was multiple offers that needed work. Everything that's multiple offers is, that scenario where all you got to do is bring groceries, right? It's done. It's ready to go.
Well, the example I talked about earlier with the 17 offers, actually that's a perfect example. It was turnkey. We did the inspection, and it was your basic. There's a screw missing from here. Need a little paint. Actually, on that one there was no paint issues. Actually, that was a really clean report. So I could see that. I could see where if a house is a little bit more distressed, maybe there's going to be concessions where a turnkey.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that like it has to be brand new remodeled, but just if it's well kept, it doesn't need anything. That's where the
Yep.
multiple offers live.
Yeah, well, and actually, talking about the other example with the family that we talked about coming in under asking price, the one that they're under contract with, that's a little bit older house, but it was well maintained from the previous people. And there were a couple things on that inspection report, but our client was comfortable moving forward on that one. So yeah, no, not to say that you have to have a perfect house and not get the concessions. So we're not trying to say that at all, but I was just trying to see.
Yeah, don't go do a seller. Don't go do a full remodel. Talk to them.
We have a story about that with Whitney. She has a client that's kind of doing that, and if you're a seller, please get a hold of your real estate agent and see what is needed. You are not going to get dollar for dollar on your remodel. Is there some stuff that you should do? 100%. It's going to help you sell the house better because your buyer is going to see like, wow, this house has been maintained. Yes, there's going to be bumps and bruises, but it's a used house. It's going to. But you don't need to put on a new roof, redo the kitchen, all new flooring, and then fix the driveway because it has a crack in it. Like, get a hold of your real estate agent and game plan with them on what should get done. That's going to maximize your return.
Yep.
And remember, guys, ask questions. I can see it right here. So if you ask, we can answer. Let's go into the last segment. Appreciate everyone that's staying on. We're at the 30-minute mark, so thank you. That was super quick. So let's wrap this up and let's talk about why everyone's probably watching this. What's happening? What do we think is going to happen in the last part of 2024? Because we're 6 months through it, man. Like, we're in the home stretch.
What do you think is going to happen, Ben?
I think exactly what. Hey, you put me on the spot. I'm good with that. I think what we've seen is what we're gonna get. I was asked the question today, like, is it better to sell now or next year? Typically, I have a more definitive answer, but like I can't hide the truth. The politics of this country right now and this election is a head scratcher. So I don't know what next year is going to bring us. I know I have a good idea of what 2024 is going to bring us. And I think it's going to be more of the same. The thing that's going to really drastically change the market, whether that changes this year or next year, and I'm betting that it's next year now, is interest rates. I think I'm on the record saying it, so I won't deny it, that we would have been in the low sixes, high fives by now, and it was going to be a madhouse in North Idaho. I think once we hit 6.7, 6.8, that madhouse is going to start. I think the way everything is trending, we won't see that till next year. And we'll see how far rates go. I still believe that we're going to end up in the high fives, but I think the craziness is now going to start more in that 6.7 range. I don't know, Sean, you can disagree with me.
Yeah, I think I don't think you're wrong at all. I agree. I think that the most likely scenario is we finish this year similar to what we've seen thus far. I do think that rates will improve. I do think, I'll go on the record, I do think that the worst of interest rates is behind us. I don't have any reservations there. I think that there's a case for a fairly rapid decline in rates. I think that there's a plausible case for that, but I think that it's more likely it will be a jagged, good days, bad days, good weeks, bad weeks, but the trend is going to be down through the rest of the year. And I agree. I think as rates fall, activity will come up. It gets more affordable. And people that have been waiting for it to be more affordable will be out buying. I think that where I'd probably differ from you, Ben, a little bit is I think the fever pace is probably closer to low sixes from high sixes. Yeah.
Let's go on the record on air and let's make a bet.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's do that. We'll do. You want to do a charity bet?
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay. All right. What dollar amount, or should we have? If anybody in the comments wants to throw a dollar amount, keep it reasonable. We can do that too.
Okay. I'll take the fever at 6.75.
Okay. I'll go 6.25.
6.25. Okay. And then you want to do SNR? Is it SNR?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So that's in case you guys are watching. Oh no, we got to do more than that. Put a higher dollar amount than that.
Thanks, Kim. I appreciate you looking out for me there. We can go a little more than that though. 250.
Yeah, I was thinking 250.
Okay, $250. You've all heard it.
And then just real quick, SNR, it's a cool program for adults that have mental disabilities like autism, what have you. A lot of times, there's great programs for kids that are set up for kids to go to places and get the support that they need. But then once they become adults, they kind of get lost in the weeds. So this program, it's out of Coeur d'Alene, awesome program. They help the adults who have those troubles, and anyways, it's one of our favorite charities to donate. So
I think you have a video of when we hung out with them on your channel, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead, since we're talking about them, look in the description down below. We'll put a link to them in the description. That way, if you guys want to check it out, you can. So let's leave it on. I was going to say let's leave it on this note, but I've already kind of talked about it. Where if you're willing and able, now is a good time. So I don't know. I think that's good. Any last questions? We kind of touched on the progression of 2024 and where we think it's headed. I think it's still all positive.
Yeah, it's.
Oh,
go ahead.
What? Okay, so say somebody watches this. Sorry, I got hair in my mouth. Somebody watches this and they're like, "Hey, this is great. Want to look at buying a house if the right one comes up." Sean, should they wait until they find that house, or should they just go ahead and reach out to you and have a conversation?
Yeah, good question. Get pre-approved, prepare. And okay, I'm a mortgage person. Of course, I'll recognize my bias. Come talk to me. But in all seriousness, being prepared is so important. Can you imagine making an offer on a house and finding out what the financing terms are afterward? I mean, that'd be terrifying. And then if you do happen to like a house that other people like and you're in multiple offers, the seller's not going to consider you if you're not prepared and dialed in. So it's easy, it's fast. And I think, buying a house, moving, it's a big decision. And why wouldn't you want to have all of the information available to make that decision to ensure you're making the best one? So huge fan of pre-approval first.
Yep, and I'll just end it on to expand a little bit. Again, that offer that had 17 showings behind us, had we not got him pre-approved before he was serious, trying to scramble and get those documents, he had kind of a unique income route, and it would have taken Sean too much time to put that together and get this offer submitted without that pre-approval. And sellers up here, they want the pre-approval. So Sean can do what's called a soft pull. It does not affect your credit score, so don't worry about that. If you pre-approve with Sean, he is not going to spam you. If the right house doesn't come along, that's fine. He's not going to knock on your door or your email every day and say, "Are you ready to buy now?" I am serious, guys. Sean is there to just help you, and by reaching out to him early on in the process is only going to benefit you. It also allows him time to fully look at everything and set you up for success. If it's a last minute thing, it's not in your best interest. So
yeah. We got a new question, Ben, and this I see your question. And I will answer, but I'll say the same thing. I think, Ben, that's why we work together so well, is because we're both the same mindset, right? It's kind of, let's go be a resource for people. Timing's up to them, right? Different for everybody, but we just want to be a resource when the timing's right. Hopefully we've helped you. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for pointing out the question. So the question is, are there still a lot of investors buying up here? It's come down a lot. Sean, I think you were telling me a stat about the segment of buyers especially North Idaho, and the biggest segment of who's buying. We're talking about move up to luxury to second homes to investors to first-time home buyers, and the last 16, 18 months, Sean, it's been first-time home buyers.
Yeah, it is.
the national statistics for 2023, 55% of all transactions was first-time home buyers, and it's never been that high in the history of tracking it. And I think that just speaks to, rent is 100%, right? So interest rates may be high, but a lot of those folks could not compete in 2020 or 2021. They didn't sell a house. They weren't coming in with a war chest. And so they were losing when they make offers. And now they found themselves in a position where, they can make an offer and maybe be the only one, and they had a real shot. So they were overlooking the interest rates and moving forward.
Yeah. And one reason why investors are kind of dried up is you had this rapid incline. So it made sense. They get in and they can flip it real quick and make $1, which sucks for a lot of people. But now that we've been steady for so long, you can't find a house to go in, buy it at the right price, put the money in to fix it and then flip it. Those houses are so far and few between. And then another term that we like to use in our industry is, does it pencil? And so like that is an investor term. Like, does it make sense to buy it, put the money that's necessary into it, and still make, generally investors like to make 30%. So things are not penciling for them right now because interest rates are high, the prices are still high, therefore it doesn't make sense for them to come into this type of a market. And I do want to say again, because it's been a while since I said it, I apologize for the quality on my side, the studio. We had all sorts of mayhem before this started, so I'm just using the computer camera, makeshift of a lighting. So going forward, when we do this, I will make sure the studio is dialed in. So thank you for sticking around and watching this subpar production on my part.
Well, if you fancy that, Ben, I'm going to feel pretty bad. I've got a fake plant and my golf clubs.
I might, maybe for Christmas this year, I'll get you a nice mic and camera. And then
yeah, there you go.
Spice it up.
Hey, can I show one thing in the lens of where we're going? And I think maybe something that's on people's minds.
Yep.
So just use present, right?
Yep. And then you hit share screen. Oh, okay. Hold on. All right, there we go. Yep. Let me.
Okay. So this is the St. Louis Federal Reserve. And there's a lot of different, I guess, arms of the Federal Reserve, and they're responsible for tracking different pieces of economic data. St. Louis is everything housing, and this is a home price index for Idaho. And this is going back to, I think, 1975 is the farthest you can go back. So obviously, here's this huge spike, right? And then the market turn, rates happen, and we see this drop. But it's been climbing since. So the one thing, the bottom of the market is in based on the data that already happened. And Ben, you spoke to that, prices are going up. But the piece that I wanted to touch on is recession. It's kind of, it's a buzzword. You can't turn on the news without hearing somebody talk about recession. Is it going to be a soft landing, a hard landing? Everybody's got an opinion. So these gray bars are recessions. And what I wanted to point out to you is that there's only one recession since we've been tracking data where home values went down, and that was 2008, which was very specific to homes. Every other recession, home values did not decline, and in fact went up, and that's simply because money gets cheaper in recession, and so people execute their big ticket items while money is cheap. So I guess for people out there wondering, what is recession going to look like as it relates to housing? Because 2008 was a big deal, right? It's seared in our brains, and that's the most recent recession we've had. COVID, I suppose, was real short, technically a recession, but 2008 is the one that everybody remembers, and so I think it's important to acknowledge that was an anomaly. It was caused by housing, and every other recession throughout history did not have that impact on home values.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thanks for sharing. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Any other last questions we can, at least I know I can stay here and answer any questions that you have. Give you a couple seconds to type away any questions that you have. Appreciate everyone jumping in. We're going to make this more of a routine type of a thing, talking about the housing market in North Idaho. We're going to have guests on from home inspectors to builders, and Sean's going to be a regular guest because he's super knowledgeable. So we appreciate everyone showing up to the first one. Not seeing any questions come through. Any last words, Sean?
Thanks for inviting me, Ben.
No, always a pleasure. Always enjoy your insight, and we're looking forward to more to come.
All right. We'll see you later, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.